Hi, welcome to Distinti's World, video number 8, How to Identify Junk Science. Okay, junk science is a fraud even if the proponents are sincere. And scientific frauds exhibit a number of tells, like Voodoo tell, the use of supernatural explanations, circular physics tell, the Ponzi tell, the backpedaling tell, the stagnation tell, the poor efficiency tell, and we're going to discuss these. The Voodoo tell. When humans can't explain something, they instinctively resort to voodoo. They invent something supernatural to fill the void of knowledge. Like, for example, in the early days, the sun moved across the sky, so they didn't know why, so they invented a sun god. And then when they couldn't explain the plague and what was killing people that looked so, those Black Death, they invented witches and demons as the cause. Since they can't explain why the stars at the edge of galaxies travel virtually at the same velocity as the inner stars of the galaxy, so they invent dark matter. Then wormholes and singularities, yada, yada, yada. The characteristic of the supernatural explanations is they can never be detected. I mean, how long, if you invent something new, you got to give them time to find it. But dark matter's been around a lot longer than 20 years. Is 20 years sufficient? I don't think so. I don't know. It's up to you. And this stuff only solves one problem. I mean, there's no product on the market that utilizes dark matter. And it has no other practical application, or has no practical application. Like, there's no product being made of and it only solves one problem, meaning dark matter only solves one problem in physics. And there's no practical application. Having a practical application may count as a detection. Because if you can drive something over here and it solves a problem over here, that's a good thing. That counts almost as a detection. Oh, and you can't question it. Okay, because physics would rather believe in the tooth fairy than accept that they've been wrong and that all the giants before them have been wrong. And then the one I love is the circular physics tell. Let me give you an example with relativity. Relativity says gravity is the bending of space. But in order to explain the precession of Mercury, the relativistic grease monkeys there tell us that, the bending of space affects gravity. So it's like going around in circles. It's a circular definition. And the other one is quantum electrodynamics. In order to make their models work, they need charges to travel back from the future. The future hasn't happened yet. And so if you need a charge from the future, which is tomorrow, to make today the present valid, then today's outcome depends on tomorrow. And today can't become tomorrow without tomorrow. And tomorrow can't be known without the day after. Thus, all tomorrows must be known now so that today can become the correct tomorrow and all future tomorrows. Thus, the future must be preordained. If the future is preordained, then why is quantum electrodynamics a science based on probabilities? You'd only need probabilities when you don't know the future. Okay, so it's ridiculous. I mean, the minute I was reading the book by Feynman, and the minute they said they need a charge from the future to make their models work, I basically tossed the book in the garbage. Okay, then the backpedaling tell. Okay, junk science or bad will ultimately lead to false predictions. Believers will result to backpedaling. Examples, all these end of the world predictions. Okay, remember there like a couple years back, this rich guy, he made all these billboards saying that the end of the day, the end of the world is May 21st, and then at the last minute, we made an error in the calculations, it's really now October 21st. Yeah, that's it. And global warming. They called it global warming. If their models were so good, then they would have known in the beginning that it would have been global climate change as opposed to global warming. Okay, so when the Earth looks like it's cooling, like, no, we really meant global climate change. So that shows you they're backpedaling, that their models are not very good if they couldn't have predicted that it was going to be a change rather than a warming. Okay, but there's a difference between an honest mistake and a fraud. When honest scientists make public announcements that turns out to be bogus, they issue a retraction, like Stephen Hawking just did on the issue with black holes. But fraudsters will try to cover it up with even bigger lies or even resort to threats to dissenters, which is what's going on with global warming. And then you have the Ponzi tell. To protect a lie, a liar needs to spin a more and more outrageous lie as time goes on. And Ponzi schemes require continuously increasing inflow of investments in order to attract, but in order to attract such, the schemers make more and more outrageous claims about the return on investment. Same with science. Science has to float more and more outrageous theories to explain anomalies in present theory. Okay, if they have to do that, then it's possibly junk science. And if you go to this YouTube link, there's a thing about space where it starts off pretty reasonable. When you get to the end, these physicists say, well, there has to be a holographic projection at some two-dimensional space at the edge of the universe, which is projecting the entire... And I'm like, give me a freaking break. Seriously? You gotta be kidding me. This is garbage. They're getting outrageous. The theory of everything should be simple. Simple. Rule of acquisition 31. And then rule of acquisition 23 is a stagnation tell, which we've covered before. That if your scientific progress has stopped, you should consider that you have wrong models. And there's the example with the race for the movie, the race for the double helix. And in relativity, models gravity, but does not provide a model for matter. Quantum mechanics tries to model matter, but can't explain gravity. This impasse has been going on for 60 years. We have far exceeded Einstein's definition of insanity. Because rule of acquisition 32 says science should be child's play. This is a new one, rule of acquisition 30, the poor efficiency tell. If an energy, and this is derived from the maximum power transfer theorem of electrical engineering. Okay, if you have an energy conversion process that can't achieve at least 50% efficiency, that's the maximum power transfer theory, under ideal conditions, then we cannot be confident that our understanding of the natural mechanisms involved are correct. Solar cells are only about 17% efficient, so I guarantee you there's a lot of room for improvement. Fission reactors are only 2% efficient. What a waste. Okay, fusion reactors, well, they can't get them to work, and I love it. There's people out there that say, when I bring this, oh, well, fusion isn't a reciprocal process of fission, blah, 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 it's trivial. You should understand that a fusion is a release of energy, not a sink of it. I say, well, really? Well, why can't, if it's so trivial, why can't we make a fusion reactor work? And they're like, oh, well, you don't understand stuff, blah, 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 blah. Ah, kiss my ass. Essentially, as our models become better, we'll be able to derive more power from our energy conversion. And reciprocally, if we're getting less power, it means we have a bad model or theory somewhere. Okay, we should expect at least 50% efficiency. Now, it's, this is not 100%, but we should look at it more closely, I guess you should say. Okay, and Mother Nature is good at making fools of us, even the smartest among us. And here's some of the experience where I helped other people along the way. There was a smart guy who was a machinist. He read a book about introductory electromagnetism, and he came up with a DC generator that was very clever, and he obtained endorsements from university professors, and he went canvassing for funding to get the idea promoted. And so I was introduced to him through an inventors club that I was a member of. And I took a look at it, and I had to tell him that this configuration is over 100 years old. It's in Maxwell's books. It's basically a homopolar generator with a spoked wheel instead of a solid wheel. And then I had to explain to him the known drawbacks of such a configuration. Of course, he was angry at me. Okay, he was a smart guy, but when you come up with this, you got to go research other stuff to make sure somebody didn't already invent it. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. And then there was another company around 1995. They came up with a way that looked like they could pump high-speed digital through 18,000 feet of telephone wire. Okay, because 18,000 feet of telephone wire is your customers at the far end from the telephone company. If you get high-speed digital out there, okay, in 1995, where the internet infrastructure wasn't quite that big yet, you would have an instant $5 billion market because the people would not have to lay extra infrastructure out to the farthest customers. They could just pump it over the telephone lines. Okay, they had an Ivy League professor study the device and even insert a blocking coil. The signal still got through. What they had is on a workbench, they had a transmitter that went out to another room that had 18,000 feet of cable in boxes, 18 boxes of 1,000 feet each, and coming back to the receiver. And the signal was beautifully picked up. Very clean signal at the receiver of what they were transmitting. Okay, again, then the Ivy League professor checked it out, even tried to put a blocking coil, a very heavy coil in here at the side of the receiver, and still the signal got through. And the professor verified that the claims were true but could not explain why it worked because it violated the laws of physics. A large corporation was ready to buy the technology, but only if the physics behind it could be explained and repeated. That was very wise of this company. It was a very big company, by the way. And that's why the small company went looking for somebody that could explain stuff that the other engineers couldn't explain, so they found me. And basically, I went into there. They flew me out there. I went in a limo, very, treated as a celebrity almost. And I took one look at. First, their schematics were, well, I won't say that. I looked at their system, and it dawned on me what's going on. And so what I did is went out to the cable farm, and I clipped the wire at about the 7,000 foot. And because these are boxes, they fed out easily. I held the two broken pieces behind me as I walked back into the lab. I say, how's it now? Like, it's great, it's beautiful. And I held up the two broken pieces of wire. And I basically, I had to show them that what they invented, they had a very high gain amplifier in here, and all they were doing was electromagnetic coupling across the bench. Okay, basically they invented the Marconi device. But it's better that people find these things out before they invest more money in them, because it can get very bad when investors because investors are going to think you're frauding them. So I think it was a good, and it's like, embrace change. Because bad theories or bad inventions are like the wrong path in a maze. The sooner they are abandoned, then the quicker the maze can be solved and you can get on with things that will work. And that's why I take this from the movie Heat. Don't get involved in any theory idea that you are not willing to walk away from in 30 seconds. There's a lot of paths in the maze, and Mother Nature's good at making fools out of us. Here's a developing example. Somebody sent me this link. A team who claim to be graduates of MIT have allegedly found the anti-gravity effect. They say their hoverboards will be available by 2014. This is their website. They got some clever videos. Now my problem, right off the bat, the videos are faked. Okay, I can do a whole video on how the videos are faked. Okay, but here's my take based on my other experiences. They stumbled upon something they believe is anti-gravity, something they've misidentified. And they're so sure that they'll be able to make it work, they just need some funding. So they faked the video to gin everybody up for the purpose of crowdfunding. They believe the end justifies the means. It never does. Okay, December will come and go, and watch the backpedaling. Well, I'd be ecstatic if this were wrong. Okay, but this whole thing here, these are just tells. They're not bulletproof. And they're subject to revision as we learn more. Okay, we may actually find out as we learn more that nature does imply circular constructs, though I seriously doubt it. And some tells are better than other. I think the circular physics tell being the strongest, the backpedaling tell being the weakest, because we have to allow for honest mistakes. Sometimes the shock of having wasted considerable time and money may cause honest people to backpedal until they finally come to their senses. So, okay. Anyway, thank you. Have a nice day.